Well, hey there. Good morning and welcome to today's Saturday Snapshot edition. And unfortunately, this is actually going to be the last snapshot for a little while, at least for the month of July, because I will be going away on renewal leave starting on Monday, and then we'll come back and be back in the pulpit on the first Sunday in August. And so, renewal leave is really a little bit more than vacation. It's an intentional planning and recreation and renewal time. In fact, I'm going to be reading probably at least, my intention is to read 4 or 5 books to kind of go through my own pastoral reset. When I look back, I've got probably close to 3 decades of ministry, and in that time frame, I've deployed numerous times with the military, and then have gone through this transition from Fort Pierce to here with COVID and all those kind of things. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I just felt like I needed a little bit of time where I could just reconnect with my calling. It's not that I have any desire to leave the ministry, but I really am kind of focused on the next 20 years of ministry for me. And I've had a great time of ministry since I started at 25 in the ordained route and 23 in the youth ministry, things along those lines. But I really just want my second half of ministry, my ministry here at the Palm Beaches, to really be a lasting legacy kind of ministry. I want to know that I've offered to God the very best of who I am, and that I'm not just kind of just falling across the finish line. And I want the same for my family. And so my intentions really are to spend the month of July just reviewing my current habits and routines and making sure that those are the right habits and routines to have. And also, some of those I might need to chuck, and I might even need to develop some new ones. And so the fruit that I'm working for during the month of July is that I have a really solid life plan, a development of a life plan for the next 20 years of ministry for me. And so I will certainly be grateful for your thoughts and prayers. It's a time for me to reconnect with my calling, as well as a time for me to reconnect with Jackie and the kids. At the end of the month, Jackie and I will be celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary, and part of that is a trip out to Denver where we're just going to do some reflecting together with the work of a spiritual director and talking about our marriage and how we would like the next 30 years of our marriage to be even better than the first 30. So that's what I'll be doing, and you're going to have some wonderful folks who will be preaching. Ruth, Manu, Phyllis, Pastor Tim Smiley, all of those folks will be coming and sharing the message with you. And so I just know you're going to have a great time. And honestly, the best way to honor me is to be in church. Use this as an opportunity to really hear great words, great thoughts, great insights from other folks who are walking closely with God as well. And speaking of finishing well, I was thinking of we're going to finish up our sermon series tomorrow, and don't forget we only have one service tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and then we will have lunch on the grounds. We're going to have hamburgers and hot dogs, basically 4th of July fixings. So we hope you'll come and be a part of that. And so as we're wrapping up the sermon series on resilience in the midst of turbulent times, we've talked about this idea of calling upon the strength of the Lord. Tomorrow we're going to look at this promise or this I don't know what's the term, the finish line. We got to keep our eye on the prize kind of scenario. And I was thinking of a story, a memory from me about keeping my eye on the finish line. And I was about 14, I think maybe 15 years old, and I had been the senior patrol leader in my Boy Scout troop. And the scoutmaster, actually I might have been a little bit older, maybe 16. The scoutmaster had decided that he wanted to shake things up a bit. And we had this leadership corps that was made up of all the senior boys, all the senior kids were the leaders of the church. And so of our Boy Scout troop. And he decided he wanted to disband our leadership corps. And I was none too excited about that. And I wanted to express my disappointment. And so in the highly mature person that I was, I took off my leadership core patch and I set it on fire. And I slid it underneath his office door. This is our scout hut had a room for the scoutmaster that he was able to sit in there and where he would do his interviews and things like that. And so I had burned my leadership core patch and basically left the troop at that point. Not exactly. I mean, you talk about the idea of burning your bridges. I guess I was literally doing that. And needless to say, of course, I got into some trouble with the scoutmaster on that, and was invited by him to come back to the troop. And I wasn't sure I was going to do that. One, I was embarrassed by what I had done. Two, if I came back to the troop, I wasn't going to come back in a leadership position because I had kind of canceled my leadership position at that point. But I didn't have a spiritual background or foundation on which to call upon to reflect on that. The reason I ended up going back to that Boy Scout troop was honestly, I mean, purely from a flesh perspective, is I wanted to go to the Naval Academy, and one of the finish lines for me to go to the Naval Academy was I wanted to be an Eagle Scout, and there was no way for me to be an Eagle Scout without coming back to that troop. And sure enough, I came back and I went through the process of regaining Mr. Kennedy's trust, and he was the one who awarded me my Eagle Scout badge. Now, I tell you that story because there's a lot of us, there's a lot of times that we get right up to the line. At that point in time, I was a Star Scout. That was a rank, not an outstanding. There was Star in their life, and there's Eagle. And I've had over the years, I've talked to lots of men who were in Scouts, and they maybe made it to Star, they made it to Life, but they didn't quite get over that finish line. There's lots of folks who have almost got their doctorate degree, but they just didn't finish the dissertation or their master's degree. So we all have examples in our life about how we started something, but we didn't quite finish. And so tomorrow I'm going to talk about the importance of finishing and how to keep our eye on the prize. And there was enough of the why for me to make Eagle Scout that pushed me over, to stay connected to that process. I'm grateful that, in my calling as a pastor, first of all, my calling as a Christian, and then as a pastor, and as a husband and a father, there's a bigger why that keeps me going in the times that I just want to kind of toss in my hat and say, I'm done. I'm just not going to do this anymore. And so, again, I hope you'll come and help us finish out our sermon series about resilience. I think you'll get a lot out of it. It'll be meaningful and hopefully powerful for you. I want to remind you that we're gathering tonight at 6:30 for prayer in the chapel. We'd love for you to come and be a part of that. Also, we will have the Mission Cafe will be meeting on the 19th. I believe that's coming up. And then some other things for you to be mindful of is I will be starting a class, a 12-week course in August. When I come back, I'll meet on Wednesday night called Experiencing God. You've heard me talk about this idea of obeying God without hesitation, about the importance. In fact, that we Christians, when we talk about staying connected to the vine, we cannot do anything without staying connected to the vine. That really means knowing and doing God's will, and we can't do that. We can't obey without hesitation if we don't know God's will. And so this is a 12-week study that I've used in numerous settings in my ministry that really helps us think about that and then apply that to our lives. And so I hope you'll consider that opportunity to join with me in the first Wednesday starting in August with that. So again, just remember we're meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And if you're not able to be with us, I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July weekend, and I'll look forward to being with you real soon. Take care, and God bless.